Hello everyone, Tony Evdoka here, continuing the Gen 3 build. We're on phase 5, I believe. So we've built the gear diff, the bore diff, the gearbox is built. So we continue now to fit some stuff to that, and of course this is where it gets really interested on, very interesting on the Gen 3. So with no further ado, we'll try and keep these sort of slightly shorter videos, just purely because people have said that they prefer that. So we'll build, we'll put the diff in the gearbox today, and show you a little bit about the eccentric peels. Some people call them peels, some people call them whatever, for all the adjustments, towing and anti-squat and all that kind of stuff. So let me just flick over to the build area. So here we are. You can see this time I've, like I said in previous ones at the beginning of this video, pointless wasting a lot of time. So some of it's already out of the packet. They're all neatly there, ready for me to execute. And here we go. So the cars here, we don't necessarily need that for a moment. So let me just put that to one side. This is the gearbox casing. It's going to be self-explanatory, of course. That's going to just click on the top of that. I mean, it doesn't take too much of a mathematician to work that one out. So that's going to go in there, and clearly any of the diffs is going to sit in there. But what I like doing is, before doing that, is I like to put the tower onto the onto its mount, and I'll explain to you why I do that as I do it. So two screws are very short, and on the Gen 3 it's a very nice feature that we have. Oh, bear with me, my drill was locked off from racing. And remember, when you're using an electric drill, don't go all the way, just go as far as you trust your drill to do that, and then just finish by hand. Like I said previously on all these videos, I know my settings on my drill, so you will clearly see that there's still plenty to go. Never cross thread anything, otherwise it's a replacement job. So as you can see, I've already fitted that, but I fitted it with two screws, and I want to show you why that is. So if I go to the zoom cam, you can see on the zoom cam that on the tower, the way that it's built, you can see that there are two screws on the top and there are two screws on the bottom. These two screws are normally removed to access the quick release gearbox. So there's never any reason to take the tower off the actual top part of the gearbox, right? So you can clearly see that, and I'll quickly show you how that works. So this is the gearbox, this is the top case, and it's basically it's as simple as it's as simple as that. That just goes in like so. It clicks together. It's no complication whatsoever. I like to actually lever it in that way, so I do that action. So I actually sit the gearbox at the back and I click it in the front. I just like that sort of action, like so. You don't have to take the wing off. The wing stays on its wing mount. We haven't got the wing mount in this particular chapter. So it's just as simple as that. You can do it slightly differently, I suppose. I suppose you don't have to lever it on and off like I do, but that's the way that I do it, and it works very well. So now that we've done that, we'll put that to one side, and we'll talk about the diff. So previously we've built a gear diff, which is this one. If you recall, I said to you, you can tell that because it's got this very dark kind of bronzy titanium-y kind of dark color to the outdrives on a gear diff, and a ball diff has got the anodized black outdrives. So we're going to put the gear diff in this one because This particular car is for somebody that's never driven a Serpent before, so we're going to put this in. It's going to be really easy for them to work with. Now we've got, again, Serpent are very innovative. Is that, if I can never say that word? Oh my goodness me! There's a lot of adjustments here. So what I want to explain is that there are 3 pairs of gearbox adjustments, and these are gearbox adjustments up and down in the gearbox, right? So it's the up and down. If I put that sideways, if you can see, like so, it's basically where the diff sits. It will there's an adjustment up and down on the differential. So where do you start? I suppose everybody has their own opinions in how these work, and they can get very complicated, to say the least, and I'll quickly explain to you why. Because if you've got it high, you could be generating a little bit of roll. If you've got it low, you're certainly going to get more push. So you've really got to experiment with these. And again, the beauty about the Serpent gearbox is you literally can have the differential in your hands within seconds. And when I say seconds, it's under a minute, so that's seconds. So again, we'll have a look at that as we go along. So this is the neutral position. You can, if I get that on a wipe back around there, like so, you can see that this is the neutral position because the holes are in the middle of the 2 carriers for the bearings. This one is, if I get a little pointer here, you've got these little notches here which clearly tell you it's 1 down. Now bearing in mind that's 1 down, but it's also, if you reverse it, it's 1 up as well. So you now have a center, 1 down or 1 up. So you now have 3 positions, and needless to say, if you know how to do maths, with another set here which is even deeper down and deeper when you reverse it up, you have 5 different positions, or 5 different height positions for the differential, whether that is a gear one or whether it is a ball one. So we're not going to complicate it for this particular person, because in the middle is a very neutral position. It will work on one track, it'll work on another track. It's when you get to the stage that you become extremely a good driver and know exactly what you're looking for on a particular track that you would attract yourself towards changing this regularly, if you like. Now remember what I've said all the way along. I'm a little bit on the fussy side, a little bit of flashing there that I have to clean off, otherwise I will not sleep at night. It's just how I build my cars, so please excuse me while I quickly do that. And I won't be repeating myself on the rear end of this car, of what we've spoken about before on the front end. You know, when it comes to you seeing me greasing hinges and stuff like that, is because we've spoken about it before. So here I need to just quickly switch to the zoom cam just to show you something here. With these we have a where is the zoom cam? Here it is. We have a little, I'm trying to sort of try and catch that if I can. There you go. Right here you can see there's a little locator there. That's very important. And also, I don't know if you could see, there's, this one is number 2, right? So when you're looking up setups, it will tell you diff position in such an area, whether it's one, I can't remember myself, to be very honest. Let me just quickly look. So it's we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we? Yes, or do we have 0 as well? I can't see. Yes, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, making 5 positions. So always remember the little lug that I've just pointed out is always at the back of the car. Now again, the last thing I want to do is portray anyone to be an idiot, but when I certainly relate to a car, if it's a left or a right, I'm always looking at the car from the back end, right? So the car's going away from you. So a left is on the left from the rear of the car, not looking at it towards you, and so forth. So we pick up the diff, we pick up the bearing. Look, it's a very simple scenario. Drop the bearing into there, lovely tight fit. Likewise with this one, as you can see, make sure she's home. No complications here. I just wanted to quickly just show this though. Imagine that this was one of those other ones. In other words, imagine this was a low position, right? So the diff is sitting low in the gearbox. You're at a test track and you think, oh, really, it should be high, you know? And you don't want to go in between. You either want to be low or all the way high. So all the way low or all the way high. You would basically just take them off, switch them round, voila, job done. No frills, you know. It's so simple. If you're one down and you want to go one up, you know, you've got the other set in, it's just quickly swap round. It's such a easy thing. You know, sorry to sound as if I'm going on, but you know, you're at trackside, and you know, in the British weather is terrible sometimes. You know, you've got a gear diff in, and you think, oh, please don't rain for my heat and everything else. And it's just about to, and oh goodness, you know what? It's happened to you. It's poured down, and there you have it. If your teammates are there or thereabouts, you know, they can quickly, 1 minute, take one diff out, drop a ball diff straight into the back of your car. And although you might not be on a wet car, or the wet car, damp car, low grip car, people call it all sorts, at the end of the day though, you've got the ball differential that will help you in those damp conditions. So that's a big advantage. So as you can see, this just drops in, like I said, 2 lugs on the back, very simple, dropping in like so. And you can see that the gearbox is nearly at its you know, nearly at its completion, if you like. So I'm just double checking, like I always do, you know, new car, new build, that kind of thing, making sure that everything is how it should be. Not for any particular reason that it shouldn't be. I just want to sort of double check, just purely because, like I said, it's a new mold, it's a new everything. So once that goes together, and you saw me just quickly click it together, just to give you an idea, what happens is that these 2 screws, these longer screws, they basically will just screw into here and into here. Let me just see if I can show you a little bit better on the cam here. So, oh dear, we need the back end, don't we? There we go. So if I can just try and get that to light up in the zoom cam, if I possibly can make it happen. I'm struggling, as you can see. There you go, maybe that's the right thing to do. So that screw screws into there you go, that's a better picture. So there you go. So like that, you can see that screw is going to screw into the front casing through the shock tower, and you use as a shock tower well, if I get my words out, a shock tower as a stop, and that's how you quick release the gearbox. Bearing in mind what I said earlier on, because of the design, this stays where it is, which is your wing mount, bottom support, and your wing mount that we're going to put in on the top 2 screws of this shock tower. They do not move. You do not have to remove the wing on this car. A little bit like Tesco's. Tesco's want to quote other supermarkets. I suppose there's nothing wrong with me saying, well, other cars, you know, you do have to remove wings. I'm not sure if all of them are like that, but certainly the Serpent Gen3, you do not have to do that. And you can see that the diff, again, if I just try and catch it in the right light, you can see the diff is sitting right in the middle of that available you know, that available housing of the gearbox. And like I said, it can go 1, 2 down, back to the middle, 1, 2 up. So 5 different positions on the diff height there. So I I can't see any reason why we can't put this together, because that is built free as you like. So I quickly grab my driver, and like I said, I know I keep repeating this, and I don't mean to. I think my driver's flat as it happens, but as you can hear, it's a very quick. Yeah, you see it flash. You see the screwdriver flashing. That's because I need a new battery. So when we get to a particular position in a minute, we'll change that battery. That's already done this build and gone racing and so it's doing okay. So there we go. Everything is nice. Everything is complete. Everything is nice and free. And don't forget, guys, that we've don't forget, again, switching back to this, don't forget we've got that spring still compressed. It's been a couple of days now, by the way, and I've got no problem. I've left it compressed. So let's get this stage moving on a little bit. So now, oh, by the way, these 4 screws that you can see here, these are the 4 screws that will mount on the bottom of the gearbox. I don't know if you can see that. 4 screws on the bottom of the gearbox. This recesses into the chassis. I don't know if you can see that. Try and show you that. There you go. Recesses into the chassis, clicks into position, and that's how that's done. So we move on. We now go to the brackets. You can call them anything you like, really, but you know, they are the brackets that hold the eccentric peels, and you know, like I said, many different names for them. You can see I've got numerous ones here, and the reason I've got numerous ones is because we have a very simple method, and the method is, it's just really easy for everybody to remember. Now, in one, let me again switch to one of the cameras, because I need to just quickly show you this. So if I click onto here and show you that this particular peel, you can see that the markings on it, it's just got a hole in the middle. Can you see that? It's just got a little dot. Maybe that one's a better one to show. Just a little dot in the middle. Now that little dot indicates where the pin is. Now, when the pin is in the middle, like so, and then we pick up the other one, and you can clearly see through the gap. Look, that's in the middle as well. You can see this one here. There is not one in there, and I'll explain why not in a sec. So you can see that that's in the middle. So by a quick glance, you can see what position you're actually running at. Now, when they are in the neutral position on the Gen 3, you will have 2-degree anti-squat, and you will have 3-degree towing. So that is a key with these peels to remember. That is your starting block, because with these you have so much adjustment. You can have up to I'm trying to think now. You can have 3-degree anti-squat. You can have 1-degree pro squat if you wanted to. So you have all of that adjustment. Again, please excuse me if I'm just thinking out aloud. You have you can go 1-degree pro squat, and you can go all the way to 3-degree the other way. On towing, you can go 1-degree to 5 degrees. I'm just trying to think of the peels. So that's a huge adjustment. Now, bear in mind, you can also do this in half-degree increments, right? So this particular peel system when you first look at it, you go, oh my goodness me, what is going there? But it's actually the simplest thing there really is, so long as you remember that when you have the peels in the center dot, which is what I'm going to build this car on, because it's actually a very good setup for all sorts of track conditions. So you know, it's 2-degree anti-squat, 3-degree towing, pretty standard on most cars, to be very fair. Once you remember that is your starting position, as soon as you go half, you know that you've gone, you know, if you've gone inwards, you've reduced your towing from 3 to 2.5. If you've got 2 increments, you've reduced it to 2 degrees. It becomes so simple, but you must always remember your starting position. If you remember your starting position, you're absolutely in business with this. It really is. I love it. I really do. So there's no reason for me to chat anymore about that, because that's how it is. And my big tip to every Gen owner and to anyone that's picking up a Serpent for the first time, nothing to do with you're going to love it, but you wouldn't expect me to say anything else, of course. This is what you have to do. You have to do that in that fashion. So let me just switch off this phone that seems to be chirping away for some reason. So oh, it doesn't want to click off. There you go. So as I continue, please excuse that. I should have really switched off the phone. We're gonna insert that in place now. I mean, again, it doesn't take too much of a mathematician to work out that is where it's going to sit. We have, well, if I pick up a 2mm instead of a 1.5, it's a very easy fit through the hole. As you can see, we just, and I never do these tight to begin with. I said to you before, I like to make sure all the threads and everything else are all exactly how they ought to be. When it's loose, you get to the countersunk part, it draws it exactly where it should be. These chassis and their holes and all that is extremely precise. So we tweak that. At this stage, bearing in mind that I've got a screw going into alloy, I would normally thread lock that, but I'm not going to at this stage, just purely because, remember what I've always said, I want it to go all together, and then once it's all together, then I would do that. I fully remember what I've thread locked and what I haven't. It's in my nature to remember that. So here we are with the gearbox, and we're going to just slide that into place, lock it into place. It's locked off on the bottom part of the chassis. You heard it click into place. Beautiful and nice and flat. So that gearbox is now on the chassis and in position. Now you must excuse me because this is again by memory, because I'm not using a manual. The 2 short screws are what's going to locate us here, and they will click like so. And the 2 short screws are the ones that are always very close together like so. We just double check that because this gearbox is going to stay there now. It doesn't need to move. To be very honest with you, I work on my car and I don't really need to take the gearbox out that often. It's only if the car gets generally grubby that I lift it off, to be very honest with you. So that's in place. The 2 locators at the front, 2 locating screws at the front, we'll just wind them to click, and as you can see they click slightly prematurely, just purely because of the settings I have on the drill. And we will just pinch them where they need to be. We don't need to go mad. The plastic is fantastic on the Serpent car. You just need to just pinch it in place. If you start cranking everything too tight, it's the wrong thing to do. Now, you might have noticed, for the eagle-eyed viewers, if you like, that in here already, let me go to the cam. He says, in here you can see I've already put the peels in. Yep. So this is ready to go, but I'm not going to put it on as yet because, of course, we need to put the wishbones on, and that will be the next stage. But what you will notice is that in this one that I was holding earlier on, and I've already fitted to the car deliberately, there is a peel that's left out, right? And this is where I've already done a particular build on this, but there's the peel. Now what I do is the very fine side of the file, I just file the edge of where the peel is going to go in the actual holder. Now I'm quite fortunate because I obviously been Serpent, you know, a Serpent driver and using the products now for some 6 years, and I know the car very, very well. So I probably don't need to be too fussy with this, just purely, like I said, because I know the car very, very well. Saying that though, this just makes your life a little bit easier when you insert it into the car. And I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see, but I just want to show you my method in putting it in, which is hence why I didn't put it in the car and left it, because there will be a scenario that you'll be changing this, you know, while it's in the car. You're not going to be rebuilding the car just to change the peel. So there's the peel. I take a bigger driver, I put it in the hole like so, so it supports my peel. And then all I do is while I've got the car, I don't know, I have no idea if you're going to be able to see this, but while I have the car in my hands, all I do is I put it in place like so. Again, I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing there. If I move the peel, you could see it. And then all I do is while it's in my hands, all I do is just push, and you can see that the peel is in place. It's just as simple as that. It's not complicated at all. Some people overthink it, I suppose, if that's the right word. It's just a very simple procedure. I suppose it's the same old with everything. If you know how, it's simple. But that's my way in how I do that. So now that we've talked about the peels, of course, this will just drop on the back, as you can see. So by doing that, you will have the, oh, if I go up here, you will have the scenario that your wishbone pin will drop into there. As you can see, if I turn it that way, maybe that's a little bit better. Get it a little bit lined up for you. There you go. So your wishbone will just drop into here, and that's how that's done. So nothing complicated. That really concludes the build of the remainder of the gearbox. It's fitted to the car now, so it's that simple. And the rear hinge brackets, if that's what you want to call them. Again, there's different names for them. We've fitted a gear diff in this one, and of course we can very quickly just few screws, lever it off, drop another diff in if that's what we would need to do for different track conditions. So we'll cut that one there for short, and then that will be phase 5 done. Phase 6 will be the these are going to be the rear hubs and the drive shafts, because there's lots of adjustments on them too. So I'll see you on the next one, and please, no more messages. I'm fully aware I need a haircut. Unfortunately, it's now I'm approaching 4 months. Hairdressers are not open, so unless anybody knows anyone on the black market, I can't do a lot about that, I'm afraid. Catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks very much.